This is there we go.
Oh.
Hi, we're here.
Hello, everyone.
We are now live. Trying to get everybody into the frame. Hi, all.
Hey, everyone.
How do we know people
Hi,
are
everybody.
here?
Thank you for joining.
Yeah, so I'm Andrea, and I'm joined by my lovely coworkers, colleagues from the grants department. I'm the grants compliance specialist, so I help with all parts of the application process from before submission, after submission, and then once you're awarded the grant, I'm happy to support through every stage of the process, just to make sure that you will have the right documentation the time that you're applying, so that you're eligible, and then once you're awarded, that you have all the correct documentation to receive your awards, and so on and so forth. Who wants to go next?
I'm Liana. I'm the grant assistant here at HAA, and with all his responsibilities. And you'll probably see me emailing you guys in constant communication, answering phone calls and just sort of assisting you guys in meetings and, any kind of information that you guys are seeking. I'm one of the ones that will help you get that info.
And lastly, my name is Valentin, and I'm the grants coordinator on the staff. I really focus on panels, and that's my main area of expertise, but I also do everything else that Liana and Andrea do. So you might also be receiving messages from me, and we might be in conversation through like some of our grantee meetings and things. So super excited to be here with you all today.
Yeah, thank y'all for joining us for our second Instagram Live of the month. Oh yeah, see more people joining. Awesome.
Yes, thanks for joining.
Thank
Yes.
you for joining. Welcome.
Yes, we just got started, so yeah, I just went through introductions. Yeah, and this is really a time for you all to ask any questions that y'all have. We just opened our second.
The chat box.
Oh, we're here. I see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
there you go.
we're trying out a new streaming service. So we're streaming live on all of our social media. So it's on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. So y'all can join from any of those. So yeah, this is our first time trying it. So just reach more people. Yeah, so it's live on several places. I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, the second round of Let Creativity Happen and Cities Initiative, they both opened this past Monday, so 2 days ago. So yes, we have new opportunities available for those two grants. And coming up later next month, in about 2 weeks and a half, on June 16th, we will open what we call our annual grants. That is support for organizations, support for artists and creative individuals, and our festival grants. So look out for that as well. And you can apply to both of opportunities, or one from each cycle. They just have to be for different projects, and we'll have more information coming out for our annual grants within the upcoming weeks, like on the website, and we'll also have workshops. So yes, a lot is happening with the grants at HAA. But yeah, this time is for y'all to ask any questions that y'all have about the current grants, upcoming grants, past grants. Yeah, we are here to support and help.
Yeah, so just wanted to say hi to Exotic and Christina. Y'all dropped those like greetings in chat, and feel free to drop your questions in chat. This is your time. Otherwise, we'll kind of go through a couple of important things that we think could benefit y'all as you're going through the application process.
So I guess we can talk about, yeah, so what do you need to apply? So the application is online through our grants portal. You go to grants. I don't know the direct link.
The direct link to wait, you mean to Smart Simple?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the direct link, but if you go to Houston Arts Alliance, if you go to HoustonArtsAlliance.com and click on the grants tab, then you'll be directed to our grants portal, which is Smart Simple. And all of your application materials and submission will be done solely through that portal. So if you have an account, then you log in. If you do not have an account, please create one and make sure that you create the correct type, whether that's individual or organizational.
Yes, and if you have any questions or trouble throughout the process, you can always call or email us, and we're happy to help you get set up on the portal or just answer any preliminary questions before you start your application. No questions are dumb questions. So
Yes.
Yes.
So feel free to ask even the simplest questions. If you're confused on anything with the grants process, you know, it could be a lot of overwhelming information, you know. Oh, we have a question. Okay. What are some of the biggest mistakes you see artists make when applying for grants through HAA? So there's a few key things that I think, you know, our applicants should try to avoid. And so we encourage people to be as specific as possible. So don't be vague, you know, in your application, and don't leave, I guess, room for panelists to assume things about what you're proposing your event is going to be. You know, if you have details about venue location, timeline, artists that you're going to be working with, or organizations you'll be working with, you know, it's great to have those details implemented or included in the application. That way the panelists have the best amount of information. What are some other mistakes you guys see?
oh, know which like because we know that like things can change. However, we do have like a list of ineligible items, so I would recommend to take a look at that list. If you can avoid excuse me, allocating funds towards any of those, that's great. Yeah, so like we can't fund any competitions, food items, anything like catering expenses, stuff like that. What else? Oh, anything that's taking place outside of the city of Houston is not eligible. So yeah, I would say to recommend to either, well, both take a look at what items are ineligible, and if you're not sure, always you can reach out to us and we can help you out with that. But yeah, like I said, like Liana was saying, be as specific as possible. If you just say like organization, like I'm gonna collaborate with organizations or artists, if you know the names of them, please name them. Yeah, as much details as you can provide, the better. And yeah, don't assume that like people, like the panelists who are looking at your applications, a lot of them are going to be from Houston, but some of them are not going to be from Houston. So we advise to like we advise to like write your application like you're talking to someone not from Houston. Yeah.
I'll take it.
Oh, okay. I'll be back.
Hi guys, our grant staff is booked and busy, so I'll be taking over for the foreseeable few minutes. So yeah, you know, common mistakes, you know, people, you know, are pretty vague about marketing. So if you could, you know, speak more towards like your methods of marketing, you know, one of the aspects of our applications that panelists look for are like the tourism aspect. So if you're able to speak to, you know, how you're going to reach people outside of Houston, as well as in.
Okay, looks like we lost connection for a second.
Yes.
What are other common mistakes artists make when applying for grants through HAA? I want to say that one kind of common mistake during the application process is also not checking during curing week, or like checking your inbox enough. Sometimes you do get another opportunity to be able to submit documentation to make yourself eligible if we found some sort of issue in the paperwork. And so even after you've submitted your application, I would still kind of remain vigilant over the next 2 or 3 weeks to make sure that you don't get any additional correspondence from us. And if you do, you might want to open it up to see if there's any edits that you are able to make. So that's one thing I definitely think is another common mistake through the application process, not necessarily within the application itself. Okay, perfect. So just for context, guys, we were having a little bit of technical issues, and so we were able to connect live on YouTube and on Facebook, and we have now just connected live on Instagram. We are a tiny bit late, so we do apologize to the people on Instagram for this. We were encountering technical issues. But we'll do like another small introduction, say hi to everyone, and then kind of just keep the pace going. So my name is Valentin. I'm the grants coordinator on the staff. I deal with all things panel related, but I'm also one of your primary points of contact throughout the entire grants process. So welcome to our Instagram Live. And again, so sorry for the technical issues.
Yes.
We're learning how to be streamers. So truly apologize.
Yes. My name's Liana. I'm a grants assistant here at HAA, and so I kind of help with the communication aspects of what we do here. So you'll probably see me emailing you guys, conducting meetings. If you have questions about the grants process or want application reviews, I'm one of those people that help with that, as well as sort of overseeing the entire grants process and assisting Andrea and Val with whatever they need help with.
And hi y'all, I'm Andrea, the grants compliance specialist. I do most of the same things that Liana does, applicant support. I'll take meetings, communications with you all, but I also help y'all to make sure that y'all have all the correct documentation for when you are applying, when you are awarded, and then for when final reporting comes around, just to make sure that you have everything you need and we have everything we need from you when it comes in terms of paperwork. But yeah, I'm here to support throughout the entire process.
Yes.
Yeah.
And thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you so much. So just a couple of quick updates to get y'all on track. We just opened up our second cycle for Let Creativity Happen and Cities Initiative. It opened up this past Monday and will remain open for the next about 3.5 weeks, since we're like midweek now. So make sure to go into the portal, check that out, see if you're eligible, see if you have a project for both or just one grant. And with that, our annual programs are also going to be opening up on June 16th. So that is support for artists and creative individuals, that is support for organizations and festival. So please be on the lookout for those 3 opportunities. And the best way to do that is by signing up for our newsletter and or following us on our different platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And to also answer a question that we got from Diane from Facebook, she asked us a question about defining fundraising per not being funded within our guidelines. So yes, a project or a proposal of a primarily fundraising foundation would not be eligible. And by fundraising, we mean that the primary objective of that particular project is to raise funds for a charitable event or for donations for some particular aspect, whether that's like an organization or yourself as an artist. So something of fundraising nature will not be eligible. However, that does not mean that you can't charge for attendance in the project or proposal, and that also doesn't mean that you can't, to some degree, profit off of the event as the individual artist or organization. So as long as it's not fundraising in nature, not for a charitable event, then it should be eligible. Otherwise, that's not something that you should worry about. And if one of you wants to take that second question, I see it. Oh, and if you have additional questions, please drop them in chat. We'll try and get to them in the order that we receive them and see them. So please, this is your time to interface with us, ask us questions, and just be the amazing artists and applicants that y'all always have been.
And so we have a question. Do you have to live in Houston to be eligible for the grant? And this is a fabulous question because it's one of our main eligibility requirements. You do have to reside within City of Houston limits in order to qualify for a grant. And so we have an online mapping tool that we use, and it should be located on our website under the grants page. And so that's the tool that we use to sort of verify everybody's address once you submit an application to determine if you're eligible or not. So you said Fort Bend. You know, I'm not the best geographic person, but so I would have to say I couldn't answer that straight up right now. But if you type in your address into the city map tool that I just mentioned, you'll be able to see if you're considered within City of Houston or outside.
I do want to add one little caveat to that. We've recently made a new addition to our guidelines that say that if you do have a studio space within the City of Houston, you can use that as like your proof of residence. But with that, you do need the proper documentation that shows that that is where your work gets done, your art, and all of those things. So it either has to be your proof of residence or a studio space within the City of Houston limits. So that can be an alternative for people that may live out like in Richmond or like outside what we consider like the city of Houston limits. So that's something to keep in mind as you're also applying. And I see that we had another question.
How do I register as an organization in Houston? So to be eligible to apply with us, you have to be a registered 501c3 nonprofit with the IRS. So it's okay if you are not registered like within Houston as a nonprofit. We know people register or have organizations when they register from like other states, but now they're headquartered here. So it's not necessarily like registering within Houston, although if you're here, to disclaim, I'm not too familiar with how like the registering process to become a nonprofit it is, or what like the technicalities of it are. So I would suggest to seek that guidance from elsewhere, from like other people who are more knowledgeable. However, to be eligible with us, you do just have to be a registered 501c3 nonprofit with the IRS. Yeah, and once you have that, we can help you get set up more. But yeah.
Yes. And also you have to have your headquarters for your organization be located within City of Houston as well. And then we have another question.
Oh, I want to add something, but no, it's okay. I want to add something more. And this goes along with like the previous question. Yeah, the link to the map is on our website, but if you also search on Google, who is my Houston City Council member, that first link will take you to the map where you can type in your address and it'll tell you if it's what council member you're at.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
No, yeah.
No, because that is such a good way to just find it. And then we have a question: can you have one member of your team live in Houston and still apply? And does making indie movies qualify for the grant? So making indie movies can technically qualify for the grant. One of our grant requirements, is that you have a public presentation. And so if you have expenses that you want covered, by a grant received from HAA, you would have to have some sort of event presenting that film in order to get those sorts of expenses covered. So that could be, a variety of different things, different types of events, but it does have to primarily be a sort of public presentation, some sort of event engaging the community that coincides with the movie that you're wanting to film. And then, to answer your question about, one of your members of your teams living in Houston. So if you're working in a collective, you would have to disclose that information and apply with a fiscal sponsor. If it's just you working with a team of people, different artists, working together to create one project, one person would have to be the lead of the application. And so that person that would live within City of Houston would have to be the one to apply. They would be the one to potentially receive the funding if awarded a grant by HAA. And yeah, so they would have to be the point person. But if you define yourself as a collective, that runs into a little bit more issues that we can discuss more if that is the case.
Yes. And so can you apply for CI, Cities Initiative, and let LCH, like Creativity Happen? If so, can you be awarded for both, or do you get disqualified when applying for both? Same question, including and multi-layered question. Best to like sort of explain it. You can apply to both CI, Cities Initiative, and LCH, like Creativity Happen, simultaneously. However, when you apply to both, you have to make sure that the project proposal is different. So you can't get funded for the same project twice. So you would have to have two distinct proposals submitted to each one of those grants in order to potentially be awarded both, should you get through panels and be awarded that grant. Same thing with sort of like SASE and Festival, where you can apply to both. I'll get to that. Yeah. Or you could apply to both, but you would need to have like separate project proposals. That being said, when it comes to annuals, you can only apply for to choose Festival or SO or Festival. In the case of annuals, you're only eligible to apply for one of the 3 annual grants per year. But in theory, an individual could get CI, LCH, and SASE, or an organization could get CI, LCH, and SO. So as long as they're distinct projects, distinct proposals, and you haven't been awarded for them previously, then yes, you can apply to all of them, and you wouldn't be inherently disqualified just because you are putting like all of your eggs in different baskets. So I hope that answers your question.
Great response. And
Yeah.
just to interrupt real quick, I have a meeting to go to, so I'll be leaving the live. And if you guys would like to schedule a meeting with us, we are fully booked. But if you contact us via email or give us a call and you still want to schedule a meeting, we'll try to accommodate you guys as best as we can with the time we have available. But see you guys later.
Okay, thank you, Liana. Good luck with your last meeting of the day. Speaking of meetings,
Good segue.
this is a good segue for meetings. So speaking of meetings, we're fully aware that we kind of are booked for the next couple of weeks. That being said, like Liana mentioned, feel free to contact us through our direct line or through our email, and we'll try and accommodate as many of you as possible with the workloads that we do have. So we will be flexible in being able to. Oh, that's my laptop. We'll try and accommodate you to the best of our abilities. And in terms of Cities Initiative increase meetings, so this cycle of Cities Initiative focuses on art, neighborhood, and cultural destinations, which means that if your project falls under that theme, you are able to request above $10,000. Please schedule a meeting with us so that we can either approve or further discuss what you need to do in order to get that increased meeting and be eligible to apply for that increase. So yeah, if you need meetings, we know we're booked, and we also are trying our best to accommodate everyone. So, and anything you want?
To the best of our ability. However, you do not have to book a meeting in order to apply. You can if you really only need to book that meeting if you are requesting an area. However, the other two funding areas for cities available to you. You do not have to apply just to that one. You can apply to any, but yeah, just for that one specifically for art and neighborhood cultural destination. If you do want to request more, you do need to meet with us. Yeah. I feel like I basically said the same thing.
No, that's perfectly fine. We can never reiterate.
There we go.
We can never reiterate
There
too
you go.
much.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the next question.
Oh, which?
So can you have a film premiere at a local movie
okay.
theater will qualify? Yes. So if you have a film premiere at a local movie theater, a local coffee shop, artist space, whatever form of public presentation that your project culminates in is perfectly fine with us, so long as you are fully aware that it has to be a live or in-person public presentation accessible to anyone who would like to attend within the City of Houston limits or tourists that come to the City of Houston. So that's really the main requirement. Whatever format you choose to have that public presentation in, totally up to you. We just need to make sure that that's clear within the application in order for it to go on to panels. Take the next question.
Okay. Yes, I meant different project, just same applicant.
Yes.
Yes, it doesn't have to be different. But again, just one annuals. You cannot apply to the support for artists and festival at the same time. It has 10 or 4 organizations, support for organizations and festival at the same time. You just have to pick one. Okay. I hope that helps. Okay. If you get, I feel like this person is just asking another question. So I'm going to see if I remember what the previous question was. If you get the team member to apply for the grant, how do you show sample work like links to short films or feature films? Yes. So in the application, there is a section for the applicant to put links or upload videos, images to the previous work. Yeah. So there is a section in the application for you to do that.
Yeah. Can I also speak to this one?
Mm-hmm.
So you can upload as many links as you want. There's like a work sample section specifically for MP3s and MP4s, and you can upload up to 5 different samples there. And then right beneath that in the application, there's a work samples PDF section. So in that PDF, you can create a PDF as long as you want it or as short as you want it, and include any sort of work samples, whether that's linked to articles, links to your YouTube channels, your social media, and what have you. So that's how you can showcase your work samples of different types. However, we do recommend that panelists spend between 15 to 25 minutes per application. So I do want to advise you to sort of keep those work samples short and sweet, because if you upload a 40-minute film or like a 15-minute short, they might not go through it completely. So showcase the best work that you have, the things that you're the most proud of, the things that showcase who you are as an artist in those work sample sections, and focus on quality of the work samples and not the quantity, because of the limited time and the multiple applications that panelists have to go through. So that's my best piece of advice when it comes to those work samples.
Yes, good note. Is there another one? Here we go. Can I apply for SASE as an individual and festival as an org, although I'm in the org? This would be separate proposals. Yes, so that is allowed, yes, but you just have to make it distinct in the application, and it has to be separate profiles. For your organization, you would submit those applications through an organization profile, and for your individual project, you would submit it through your individual profile. And they do have to be separate from what you're doing with your organization. Yes, just separate profiles, and if you have space to state in the application that it's separate from your organization work, then even better.
Yes, but kudos to you for like shooting for the stars.
Yes.
That's really impressive. I hope you have enough coffee to fill out the application in the upcoming weeks.
We have a lot of people joining. Okay. Can you showcase one of your films from like link from Tubi? I'm not too sure how that works, but if it's able to be like the settings for it to be a public access to anyone who has the link, then yeah, I would suggest to just make sure that like someone else can access the link. Like if you have like a family member or a friend that can just make sure that the link is accessible before you hit submit, then yeah, we don't restrict on what types of like streaming services. But yeah, because we have heard from some panelists that either like the permissions are not letting them see, or like the password doesn't work. So yeah, just test it out to make sure that like anybody can see what the link leads to. Yeah, because we want to make sure that the panelists who are reviewing your application get to see your work.
Yes, and then I saw Joel ask if they can make an org profile as a fiscal sponsor. So I think I might just need a little bit more clarity on that, because you can make an org profile and then be linked to the person that you're going to be fiscally sponsoring. Is that the correct process? Or is it updated since recently?
So what did you say? Sorry.
So the question was, can I make an org profile as a fiscal sponsor? But the fiscal sponsor would already have a profile made within Smart Simple, and then it's linked to their fiscal sponsoree.
Yes, so if possible, both organizations need to have their own separate profiles. The fiscal sponsor, yes, needs to create their own profile, but not an application. And then for the sponsoree, they would just need the EIN number from the sponsoring organization in order to create their own profile. And then once both individual profiles are created with the same EIN number, so that it's an organization, then we can help link the sponsoring organization to the sponsoree. But yes, I hope that answers the question.
Joel's follow-up is the
org. Is it this one?
Yeah. He has the follow-up on the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Joel's follow-up is the org isn't 501c3. So in your case, if your organization is not 501c3, you would make your own individual profile, and then your not individual, but org profile.
Yeah, sorry, I was just like,
I know technicality, right?
Yes.
So you would make your own organizational profile, like your own standalone profile within Smart Simple, and you would be using your fiscal sponsor's EIN. Your fiscal sponsor would also need to make their profile within Smart Simple, and then we would link it together, and then you would apply within your profile. Not your fiscal sponsors, but within your own profile, you would submit your application. So for those who don't know, a fiscal sponsor is typically an organization that does hold 501c3 status, and they help an organization who does not hold 501c3 status in order to apply for our grants. It's sort of like, the best way that I like to say it is sort of like an analogy. You have like this older sibling, older brother, and they take you under their wing so that you're able to become eligible, and then they provide some resources. There's a fiscal sponsorship agreement that's made, and that's something that you do submit and that we require, and that's how you go about applying for our grants, the fiscal sponsor route, which is if you're an organization that doesn't have 501c3 status, or if you're an individual who's looking to apply for the festival grant. So there's a couple of different routes as to why you would use the fiscal sponsor. So yes.
I also want to add, which is another requirement, yay, Leona's back. Hi guys. That both the organization who's being sponsored, the sponsoree, and the fiscally sponsoring organization, they both need to have headquarters within the city of Houston limits. So both organizations must reside within a Houston City Council district. And if you go to that mapping tool that we said, I can let you know what district each org is in. Yeah, but both of the organizations need to meet that requirement in order to be eligible.
Yes, and then I saw your final question, Gwen, and the same thing still applies. If you're a fiscally sponsored organization, you can either apply for SO, and you would be categorized as like an SO2 category, or you would apply as to the festival grant. So you can only choose one or the other in terms of annuals, even as a fiscally sponsored organization. I would really read the guidelines to make sure which one is the most convenient for you, because the SO has a calculation on the award amount. So you would have to do a little bit more math. And then the festival grant does have like a base amount that you would receive. So we tend to not suggest one grant over the other because we don't know the circumstances and the needs for the individual organizations. So I would definitely kind of just take a look at the guidelines and see what is the most competitive and also the amount of funding that you're seeking. Could you ask us for our opinions? Yes, but we are not experts in your best interest at all times. So I would just do that. And then I also see Freedom of Faith Food Bank. I think we just had a meeting with you this week. I think we did.
I think I saw it, yeah.
Yes. It was a really great meeting. Thanks for joining our Instagram Live.
Thank you. Of course, you're welcome, Joelle. Yeah, and if you have more questions, always welcome to give us a call or email us, and we're happy to help you more and offer support there.
Yes, again, feel free to just keep dropping as many questions as you want in chat. Like I said, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram Live, so we're taking questions from all avenues.
One of the producers of my movie lives in Houston. Can he apply for me? Well, I first use the mapping tool just to make sure that they are within a council district. And again, whoever applies is the person responsible for the grant and for basically everything, like the lead of the project. So I don't want to say that it's like on behalf of you. It's like that is the applicant, and that person is the one responsible for everything, that the requirements that the application brings. And if awarded, everything will be under that person's name, and we cannot transfer funds. We can't make a new contract with somebody else's name. It's the individual who applies holds like responsibility for everything, basically. So we can't say have this person apply. That is between you and your colleague, how y'all's working relationship is. We just know that whoever applies, that's the person that we're going to be communicating with and asking for documents, and if needed. And then if awarded, that person will have a contract with us. Yeah, but again, also use that mapping tool just to make sure that whoever applies is within the city of Houston limits. I hope that helped.
Yeah, we're around the midpoint, so I always love to plug panels, and I'll do that for every single live. We are currently starting like our first week of panels this upcoming week. We're super excited for that, and we want all applicants and community members to just apply to become a panelist so that you're able to sort of sit on the other side of the table, read the amazing applications that come through, give scores and comments to help our artists and organizations improve, and you also get a nice little honorarium on top of that. So this is like my Instagram Live plug for people trying to become panelists. We're looking for you all. We want y'all. We need y'all, and so does the community. So feel free to send us an email, go on our website and fill out the form. There's different avenues for that. So yes.
Yes, please sign up.
You can apply and also submit to be a panelist.
Yes.
Just because
Yes.
you apply for a grant doesn't disqualify you, or just because you apply to be a panelist, that doesn't mean you can't apply. You can do both. And if selected for a panel, you would just be on a different one than from the grant that you submitted. So you can do both.
And there is a $300 honorarium given, so you will be compensated for your time and effort. Just putting that out there. So please sign up.
And so I can actually take the second question too, because it sort of still comes back to what I said. So you're still under review. So the question was like, I submitted for round 1 this year. Round 2 is opening up. Why is my application still under review? Or I'm just curious as to the process. So we actually are still under review. So for transparency's sake, after you submit, we take a few weeks to do some eligibility checks. We then do curing week, and then we pass on your applications to review for panelists and community members to review that for 3 to 4 weeks. Then we do like a week of panel discussions, and then the process goes on and on. So your application is actually set to be reviewed this upcoming week. However, it still takes time to crunch numbers, check funds, and get final approval. So your application quite literally is still under review, and so is everybody else who applied for round 1. So we don't have final determinations for you, and we probably won't until closer to the start of the grant term. So you can be on the lookout for emails from Houston Arts Alliance for us. Yeah, and that's really the best way to address that. Can you apply for round 2? Yes, you can. And there might be a point in time where we have to still go back and ask you to choose between round 1 and round 2, because round 1's determinations still haven't been finalized. And so on a technicality, round 2 would kind of become ineligible because there's no final determination on round 1. But if you would like to submit a different application for round 2 and sort of void your round 1, you can do that. It's a space that we're currently working on, like refining and making sure that it's in the best interest of the community and the capacity of the grant staff to kind of like navigate that gray area currently. So I hope that fully answers the question. Right?
Yeah.
That's the best way to go about that.
Yeah, right now, just the timelines, the way that our grant cycles are set up, they do overlap, just because we do offer the Let Creativity Happen and Cities Initiative 3 times during the year. There is going to be some overlap from when this second round opens and while the first cycle is still under review. So yeah, but Val explained it like perfectly. You can submit a new one. If it's a different project, they will both be, they will go through the process. But if it's the same project, we would reach out to you to ask which one you would like to continue with in the process.
Final note on that, round 3, by round 3, you would already have had a determination for round 1. So if round 2 is like a little murky because of that like pending status, you still have round 3 that happens a little bit later in the year and that you can still apply to knowing your round 1 final determination. So I just wanted to also put that out there. There is a 3rd round that you can apply to.
Okay, we've got another question from Facebook. The first question was mistakes you see. Can we readdress?
What are the most common mistakes that applicants make on our grants?
Yeah, well, I don't want to call it like mistakes, but just areas of a bit more improvement, is give as much details as possible if you're collaborating with organizations, artists, or even if you're just naming, like I'm working with this organization or I'm going to reach out to organization and these artists, name them. The more details, and not just with that, but with really like anything that you mentioned in the application, the more details that you can give on your project, who you're going to be working with, where it's going to take place, timeline, and all of that, as much details as possible. Also, the panelists that look at the applications, a majority of them are from Houston, but there's some that are not from Houston. And so I would, your application, how you would talk to someone that's not from Houston. So those are like the 2, well, not mistakes, but yeah, the advice that I would give, just details. And yeah, there's some people that don't know, but there's a lot of things going on in Houston. And so some people might not know what goes on. So yeah, explain to the panelists, like like the person reading does not know what goes on in Houston.
I would also say a common mistake is that people don't describe their public presentation well enough. They're a little too vague on what exactly their event is, how it's being presented to the public, how it's engaging the community. So make sure that you're filling out, there's a section called public presentation. That is your opportunity to really give a detail to the staff and to the panelists, you know, what is your event? Because that is one of our major requirements, you know, for all of our grant applications. There has to be one in-person or one live event within City of Houston limits. So if we don't see that in your application, if it's not clear enough, then you'll be unfortunately found ineligible since it's one of our major requirements. So we don't see that too often, but it is a recurrent mistake that some people make. So I would say be very clear about what your presentation will be.
Yes, and also take a look at the ineligibility things. So like it's not like a long list, but there are common of like things that are ineligible. So like fundraisers or like projects that take place outside the City of Houston and just things like that, right? So make sure that you kind of like take a quick look at those ineligibility things, because we know that it takes a lot of time, effort, and sometimes tears to submit these grant applications. And you don't want to be found ineligible just because you didn't read that like 1 or 2 pages in the guidelines. So another good piece of advice is if you don't want to look at all of the guidelines, make sure to just take a good look at the ineligibility things, because the ineligibility isn't really referenced within the application, but most every other question or like documentation you need to submit will be referenced or have some sort of link to the guidelines. So ineligibility, take a look at that, make sure that your project is eligible so that you can make it to panels and hopefully get awarded. Our comms director is like walking by, giving us a thumbs up.
Yeah. No questions. But yeah, y'all feel free to ask more questions. We still have some time. I know we started a little late on Instagram because we were trying a new streaming service, but it was not working through Instagram. But yeah, we're here for a bit more time. So yeah, ask away for the current grant that we have open or our future grants, or if you were a past applicant and you're coming back, yeah, ask whatever.
Did you guys already talk about annuals?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We spoke about annuals. Again, annuals open up June 16th. They open up June 16th at 9 a.m. 2025. That is support for artists and creative individuals for our individual artists, support for organizations for our organizations, and then festival, which is for individuals and organizations. So those 3 open up at the exact same time, June 16th, 9 a.m. Remember, you can only apply for one of those 3 at any given time. Please do not submit 2 applications, because on the given case that you do submit both, we're going to come back and ask you to choose between one of them. And both applications, all 3, are a little bit longer just because they're offered once a year. They ask for more details. So please focus on the one application you really, really want so that you're not dividing your time and attention between 2 different applications. So yeah.
Oh, and I also want to add for annuals, the projects are for the next calendar year, 2026. So yeah, and we would also recommend to take a look at the timeline for the current grants that we have open right now. For round 2, the grant term starts in October of this year and goes until October of next year. And then round 3 will be for all of 2026, and annuals is also for all of 2026. So keep in mind as you're thinking about what projects you want to do, that the timelines align with the grant term timelines as well, because that is also an ineligibility factor. If you submit something for an event that is happening in July or August for round 2, it'll be ineligible. So yeah, make sure that you check those timelines to make sure that that requirement is met.
Yes. And also, if you don't have questions and you have been a seasoned applicant or a first-time applicant, these spaces are also places where you can ask us questions about our processes. give us some constructive feedback about things that we can improve or try to improve in order to make the process easier for you. We're super open to like any suggestions that you like. We do have meetings about them, and we want to make the process as easy for y'all as it is for us sometimes. So this is a work in progress. So ask us questions, give us a piece of advice, let us know things that you might be struggling with, and we'll try and address them in like this space right now, but in the next few weeks and months, so that you feel comfortable applying. Oh,
Taylor mentioned.
Taylor, CEO, previous grants director. Yeah, we love Taylor.
The question is, can you share Taylor's advice? Oh, sorry, I just wanted to like say the question out loud. Can you share Taylor's advice about the 3 areas to speak to in the application? I heard you mention this in a review last week, empathy, data, etc.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm the one that maybe took this meeting because I say this.
You do say it like all the time.
I do say it all the time.
But it's true. It's true, and it's all thanks to Taylor.
Yeah. So Taylor Jackson, which is our current CEO, previously our grants director, so like our boss in all senses of the word. When she used to give workshops on what you would call a press tour last year, one of the pieces of advice that yes, it was me. One of the pieces of advice that she loved to give to the people at the workshop is that when you're crafting your application, you want to speak to essentially 3 different like hypothetical / imaginary people. And so your project should sort of cover these 3 areas. So the first person that you want to talk to is like the emotional person. You want to talk about like the public benefit it has, like what sort of feelings you want it to be invoked. You also not only want to invoke feelings in the person who's reading your application, but you want to express your own feelings as the artist. What are your passions? Why are you pursuing this? So you're really talking like in a very feeling ambiguous type of format. So you want to speak to that person who's judging you. You want to speak to the numbers person. So some people are just logical based, right? They want to see how many people you have, how many people are following you on Instagram. They want to know how many people came to your last event. They want to know how many artists are on board, how many new works you're going to create. Like for them, these numbers and these like statistics and data are something that are tangible for them and that they can work with. So not only are you speaking from a place of passion and emotion as an artist and you're trying to invoke that, but you're also trying to have data that supplements that. So you're speaking to the emotional person and the logical person. And finally, the third person is the logistical person, which sounds like the data person, but it's a little bit different. The logistical person wants to know how you're going to execute the project, what sort of resources are available to you. They want to know the timeline. They want to know that your budget table is safe and sound. They want to know that you have about all of those 3 things. So Taylor used to say that if you can speak to the emotions, back it up with numbers, and then a sound plan, and you can convey that in the limited space that you have in your application, you're pretty well off in applying to grants. And this comes from not just our CEO, but like a little bit of background on Taylor is that she also used to apply for grants. So she is currently in a position of being a grant funder or like leading an organization that is a grant funder, but she also used to be on the other side of the table where she used to consistently apply for grants. And she said that that was one of the most useful pieces of information that she had gotten during her time as somebody who's applying. So I hope that helps some of y'all out. And I always love to share that little anecdote that she did for the workshops because it also sticks with me when I'm doing things.
No, that was really wonderful.
Yeah.
That's such a great way to like describe how you guys should be thinking about the application.
Yeah, and I guess also to add to that, I would recommend to like speak from like the heart, just like when you're talking to your friends, family, colleagues about the projects that you're working with. Don't think that you have to have this like academic writing or very like formal style of writing. The panelists want to see what type of artist you are, and so yeah, just speak to it. Or if when you're in meetings with us, how you talk to us about the project. I would recommend to write that way in the application. So yeah, in your own words, and don't try to have this like idea of like the perfect grant and very academic style. No, we just want to, or the panelists want to hear who you are, yeah, and what artistry you bring to Houston's cultural and artistic landscape.
Yes, very good point.
Thank you. You're welcome. All happy to help. Yeah, so we still have a bit more time. So if y'all want to ask some more questions, we still have time during this live for y'all.
Yes, and it can be about like the open grant applications. It can be about final reports if you're somebody who needs to submit that, calendar questions. You can also let us know if you would like for us to attend your event. We try our best to be out in the community. So if you know of an event that you want us to attend,
tell us what's going on.
Tell us what's going
we know there's
on.
a lot. So but yeah, we'd love to hear from y'all.
Yeah, we try and be out there. Also update us if you want. Like if you are about to finish your project, it's coming up. We also want to highlight y'all and let y'all know that we're there to support y'all, and we do really enjoy seeing like the final products that come out of it. As people who review y'all from start to finish, like from when we meet you in our meeting and it's just like an idea up until the point where you actually execute it. So let us know what's going on, invite us, let us know how we can better assist you. But yeah. You're awesome.
I don't know, I was like, we went through the important, I guess deadlines came into my head. So yeah, so we just opened Let Creativity Happen and Cities Initiative, and those will be open until June 24th. So yeah, y'all still have plenty of time. It just opened. Again, if you want to request more than 10,000 for the city's initiative grant, specifically if you're applying for the Art and Neighborhood Cultural Destinations funding area, you do need to meet with us, and the deadline for that is June 17. And again, we said this earlier in the live, but we are booked for the month. However, if you do want to request more, you do need to meet with us. It is a requirement, so just email us, give us a call, and we will do our best to schedule a time with you. We do want to be there for you for that aspect, for that requirement. But yeah, like all funding areas are available. Again, you don't have to just apply to that one. They all are available. It's just for that specific funding area, you are allowed to request more if you do meet with us. And for that meeting, you just need to come prepared with what the project is, like a detailed project summary narrative, and also a detailed budget table with the proving or like just breaking down why you are requesting more and how much more you are requesting.
All right. And as we're nearing the end of our time, I just want to announce again, our annual grants are opening up soon on June 16th. So look forward to that. We have our support for artists and creative individuals grant, our festival grant, and our support for organizations grant. That cycle will be opening June 16th. And stay tuned for upcoming workshop dates and more Instagram lives to get more information about these grants and the round that's currently open. You can sign up for our newsletter, follow us on Instagram to stay up to date on all of the upcoming information that we're going to have for you guys.
Yeah, follow us on Facebook and YouTube as well. Final updates. If you weren't here last live, we did just hire a new person.
Yes.
Their name is Tola. She'll be coming into the live a little bit more often and different meetings and like communications for the next couple of weeks and months. So you can expect that name to pop up every now and then when she gets herself a little bit more situated. But she's amazing. We love her. She's been great. So if you see something from Tola, she is a part of the grant staff. And then that's
pretty much it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thank y'all for joining us.
Thank y'all. Through different platforms now on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. We'll keep these up. And like Leona said, if you sign up for our newsletter, follow us on social media, you'll stay up to date with what's going on with us and what events and workshops, well, mostly what workshops we have planned for the summer. And
have fun in traffic, guys, because I know we will. But have a great day, guys. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.